11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. I never have had an estranged relationship with any of my siblings, and I'm really grateful for that. But I've known people who have. I have a friend who has not seen his own brother in a decade, I'm thinking. I don't know how long it's been. I got another friend in South Florida. Oh, my gosh. This guy hasn't seen his brother probably in 40 years. It's crazy. And it was all over like an argument at a wedding. And that was it. They never, So I often wonder when people become estranged like that and you think about the person, do you relive the thing that you're arguing over? And what if you ever bumped into each other again and had a continuation of where you left off 10 years, 40 years ago or whatever, right?
Oh, yeah.
That must be an amazing opportunity to have a second chance, or not.
I think so.
The Second Chance Supper Club sort of explores that kind of an idea. Nicole Meier is the author of that book. It's really a well-done book, and it's on, I think today's the opening day. What am I trying to say?
Release date.
The release date, yes. The Second Chance Supper Club, a novel of family, forgiveness, lost hope, and new beginnings. Nicole, you've written a really good book. Good morning, Nicole Meier.
Good morning. Hi.
Hey, where are you? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Oregon, so I'm on a different time zone.
Yes, you are. Oh, my God. Let's see. 10, 9, 8, 7. It's only 7 o'clock there. Almost 8, right? Oh, my gosh.
That's okay. I've been up for a while. I'm happy to be here.
Is morning your writing time? Is this when you write?
Yes. When I am writing, I do get up at the crack of dawn because it's quiet. So sometimes I get up at 5 a.m. and just write.
So tell us about the Second Chance Supper Club and where the idea may have come from.
Yeah, so we actually have a great independent film festival that comes into town once a year. And a couple of years ago, I went and I viewed a documentary on underground dining. And that was a totally new concept to me. I hadn't heard of it before, but I knew instantly when I was watching the movie that, and I was actually taking notes, as soon as I left the theater, I knew there was a story behind the story there, and I knew I wanted to write a book that sort of centered around that concept.
Help us understand what underground dining is. What is that?
Yeah, sure. So it's becoming more of a popular trend these days. You usually have a high-quality chef, maybe a Michelin star-rated chef who decides to go out on their own and have sort of pop-up dining experiences. But what makes it quote-unquote underground is that they are like speakeasies. So you only find out about it through word of mouth or invite only, and the location usually changes. So it could be a wine cellar, it could be someone's apartment, it could be outside. And it's really a place where, foodies and food enthusiasts go to experience this very special sort of menu from, and it's sort of a limited menu, it's not consistent in terms of timing, from a famous chef.
And tell us who Julia and Jenny Frank are. Who are they?
Right. So I loved the concept of it, but I wanted the idea to be a sister story, and I wanted the idea to be women running one of these speakeasies. So Julia and Jenny are sisters, and as you were talking about in the beginning, it does happen. Sometimes siblings have a fallout, and then they become estranged. And so the story in the book is about two sisters. One is a high-profile broadcast journalist in New York, and the other one is a chef, and they have to come together because circumstances sort of throw them together, and they have to not only repair their relationship, but they have to figure out how to run this business, which is the underground dining.
What you have to feel for Julia and her a role as a journalist and a reporter, because when she finds stories and she wants to break them, then the powers that be either try to squash them because they're hiding something, or else they say, okay, let this fella take it from here.
Absolutely, yeah. So in the very beginning of the book, Julia she makes a big slip up at work, and she sort of accuses the mayor of New York on air of tax fraud.
Yeah,
and
that's great.
It's interesting. I didn't mean to, but in the beginning, she sort of faces a lot of obstacles, like you said in the beginning, of women trying to have their own voice in that business, and also the politics behind the stories of what's allowed to be said and what's not. So that was sort of her big blunder, and it sends her life spiraling from there.
But the Ginny has her own secrets of her own. I mean, trying to make it.
She does. So Ginny is the sister, and she's a Michelin star-rated chef who was also in Manhattan, but she, because their parents died, she was forced to go back and sort of clean up the aftermath in Arizona. And so she sort of picks up her career and her child and moves back home to clean up the mess. And her story is kind of about being picked up and then planting roots where you're, and growing in a new place, if that makes any sense.
In the Arizona setting, I love that.
Yeah, I love the desert. It's very spiritual to me, and I actually wrote the beginning of the book when I was on sort of a sabbatical in Tucson up against the mountains, and I just thought it was such a cool setting.
You want to hear something weird? Listen to this weird thing. Are you ready? You're in Oregon. I have a brother in Oregon. Next week, I'm going to meet that brother in Arizona because we just lost another brother. So we're going to have his memorial next week.
Gosh.
So we're going to be in the desert in Arizona, and
oh my God!
And we're siblings. So you have the three things we have in common. All of a sudden, it's like it's kind of weird, isn't it? You're in Oregon, we're going to Arizona, and we're brothers.
That is weird. It could also be book number 2.
I'm trying to think if there's any food involved. I'm guessing I'll have to go to a restaurant sometime.
Right. Oh, wow. Well, I'm sorry about your brother.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, he would have loved some. I shouldn't. I'm not making light of this. Just I don't want anybody to feel bad about me. But it was a long discussion, and so he was cremated, and his ashes are going to be in what looks like a Budweiser beer can. So I mean, he was a guy who loved life, and so.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that's something. Wow, that's cool. It's good to be unique.
So the book comes out today. How exciting is it for you to have a new book out?
It's really exciting. Yeah, Pub Day is what authors call it because it's our publication day. Yeah. And so it's really exciting, and I go out on book tour this week. So I'll be in Oregon tonight, and then I go up to Seattle for a couple events the rest of the week, and then head down towards the West Coast in California.
Well, you kept their personalities true to form, though, because you can feel the tenseness between the sisters and then the camaraderie, and that's pretty amazing to be able to do that.
Oh, good. Thank you. Yeah, I'm one of 3 sisters, and so we have our own crazy relationships. And so sometimes I pull from real life experience and, what it's like to have a sibling, and you don't always agree with their decisions, and sometimes there is tension, but at the end of the day, you love each other.
Yeah, in your case, and in my case, and in Robin's case, but have you ever known anybody that was really estranged?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I actually have had people write me emails, early readers of this book, and then my last book was also about family relationships, and people say, I've been estranged from a sibling or a parent for so long, and now I'm reconsidering reaching out, and that's been the best feeling for me, to hear people sort
that
of
is amazing.
come to grips with that.
Yeah. You never know. You're writing something, you never know who it's going to touch and how it might affect that person. Well, thank you, Nicole, for sharing some of this with us. You sent us a book, and I'd like to give it away to one of our listeners. It's called The Second Chance Supper Club. Call me right now, 622-9622. I'll just pick one call at random. The rest of us have to buy it. I found it on Amazon. And Nicole, do you have a website you'd like to recommend?
Oh, sure. It's NicoleMeierAuthor.com.
Okay, very good.
Nice.
Nicole, thank you again.
Thank you so much. It was fun.
You are welcome. We'll be right back.
There are special elections in North Carolina today to fill 2 House seats. One vacated by a death. The other had results thrown out over fraud allegations. The Democrat, Dan McCready, says he supports gun rights and
reasonable common sense steps to reduce gun violence.
Dan Bishop's the new Republican in that race.
My opponent represents a Nancy Pelosi choice, an Elizabeth Warren choice toward a Green New Deal, sanctuary cities.
He was on Fox and Friends. Another launch from North Korea.
South Korea's military saying North Korea has launched 2 as yet unidentified projectiles, the objects flying some 200 miles over land towards